Chapter 006, True Chi Flame Chen Xiang cultivated with the Azure Dragon Divine Exercise, which was a wood-attributed exercise. Azure Dragon True Chi contained a massive amount of elemental life force and, thus, was very helpful for growing spirit herbs. There was even a particular exercise called the Dragon Saliva Exercise which provided assistance in planting and growing herbs. Upon casting the Dragon Saliva Exercise, a mystical liquid would be created from his Azure Dragon True Chi, which, when applied to spirit herbs, accelerated their growth. Practicing the Vermilion Bird Divine Exercises could allow one to create and release a flame. This flame was essential in alchemy. The divine exercise of 4 symbols was a very multifaceted exercise, and there were many fierce exercises in it, but, because Chen Xiang's strength was not high enough, he could not practice most of them. At the moment, Chen Xiang has 3,000 large spirit coins, equivalent to 300,000 small spirit coins, but it is still not enough for him to buy a middle-grade mortal-level baptizing marrow dan. Due to their price, ordinary martial artists cannot normally afford to buy dans, as even the cheapest of them are very expensive. TLN, I prefer using dan. Instead of dan, I will use dan instead of using dan. For e.g., I'll use baptizing marrow dan as opposed to using baptizing marrow pill. In the entirety of Wohu City, there is only one place that specializes in selling dans, and that is the Spirit Dan Hall. It was a 4-story building and, although not very large, the things sold inside were rather expensive. Moreover, 16.5 acres behind the Spirit Dan Hall was a big manor where they grew spirit herbs. Although the Spirit Dan Hall was not associated with any clans, it was not weak as they had many experts inside. One can even find alchemy masters inside the Spirit Dan Halls, who were highly respected for their work. After all, dans were very rare and their benefits were great, allowing martial artists to increase their strength. As Chen Xiang walked inside the Spirit Dan Hall, he smelled a herbal aroma wafting through the hall, creating a soothing sensation in all who breathed it in. There were many counters, each counter selling different kinds of dans and herbs. Before coming here, Su Miao told Chen Xiang to start practicing with low-rank dans, thus, he intended to refine the mortal-level low-grade dan quenching body dan. It was cheap and easy to sell. One dan can sell for around 700 spirit coins, and anyone below the 4th level of the mortal martial realm can get a significant boost from consuming one. Young master, spirit dans are sold there. This stand is specialized in selling spirit herbs. The speaker was a beautiful girl standing behind the counter. There were not many people inside the Spirit Dan Hall, so Chen Xiang was very conspicuous, but, even if she saw Chen Xiang wearing a shabby outfit, she didn't underestimate him, because she knew that hidden experts sometimes came to the Spirit Dan Hall. Ah, yes. I would like to buy seedlings of the spirit herbs required for refining the quenching body dan. Do you sell them here? Chen Xiang asked as he walked over to the beautiful girl. Very few people came to buy seedlings, as few have the ability to grow them. Those who were able to grow them were generally affiliated with big forces and are responsible for handling herb gardens. Furthermore, they are generally quite proficient in alchemy. They are treated as treasures by those forces and are rarely allowed to come out for a walk. That girl was slightly surprised but still spoke with a sweet smile. Of course, to refine the quenching body dan you will need 4 herbs. The prices are the same for all seedlings. They are quite cheap, only 100 large spirit coins for each seedling. The herbs needed for quenching body dan are the azure spirit grass, blood element flower, profound bright flower, and the spirit leaf grass. Chen Xiang thought for a moment, then said, give me 5 of each. 400 spirit coins for 1 set makes it 2,000 for 5. Chen Tian who only gave him 3,000 large spirit coins. Now more than half his fortune is gone. It seems that even the most basic of dans were too expensive to be consumed by ordinary martial artists. The girl was surprised, as she didn't know of anyone his age in Wohu City that could practice alchemy techniques and grow herbs. I'll go fetch it for you, so please wait for a moment. The girl did not think that Chen Xiang was messing around with her because people who messed around with the Spirit Dan Hall generally ended up regretting it. Well, what do we have here? A handsome teenager, wearing a magnificent and expensive white robe and holding a fan, was coming down the stairs and looking at Chen Xiang with disdain. The upper floors of the Spirit Dan Hall sold higher-ranked dans, and people that can go up are all distinguished guests. Are your eyes behind your back? Shut your fucking mouth. Why is it that every time you open your mouth, bullshit comes out? Chen Xiang, curling his lips, replied. That teenager is Chen Zhenhua, and he and Chen Xiang are of similar age. He is also extremely intelligent. At a young age, he managed to enter the 4th level of the mortal martial realm and is now just a step away from 5th level. Chen Zhenhua's face turned green. Chen Xiang, I admit that you were very formidable when we were younger, but you do not have a spiritual vein, so now I could beat you with a hand tied behind my back. Chen Xiang, being at the 5th level of the mortal martial realm, could only laugh at these words. No matter how strong someone at the 4th level is, they were definitely not his match. This is Chen Xiang? The current Chen family patriarch's grandson? I heard that he doesn't have a spiritual vein and is forever stuck at the 3rd level of the mortal martial realm. It seems he is here for some dance. A beautiful girl walked out from behind Chen Zhenhua and gave Chen Xiang a disdainful look. Chen Xiang recognized this girl. She was the daughter of the governor of Wohu City. It seems that birds of the same feather really do flock together. I did not expect the governor's daughter to be so superficial, being willing to be seen with such a fellow. Chen Xiang said, then no longer paid them any attention, though he suffered and was humiliated by them. Now he was much stronger than them, had worked diligently to obtain strength. Therefore, his mind was much more mature than the two in front of him. Seeing that Chen Xiang was no longer paying any attention to them, Chen Zhenhua the girl became angry. Chen Zhenhua wanted to show off in front of the governor's daughter, so he walked towards Chen Xiang. Young master, here are you spirit herb seedlings you requested. The girl returned with his order, pulling seedlings out from a storage pouch. Chen Zhenhua was surprised that Chen Xiang was here to buy seedlings. This was a surprise for Chen Zhenhua, but he laughed scornfully and said, Chen Xiang, you do not even have a spiritual vein, are you really thinking of planting spirit herbs? Don't tell me you want to become an alchemy master? This is hilarious. Because there were not many people in the Spirit Dan Hall, it's usually very quiet inside. Thus, when everyone heard someone loudly speak about someone not having a spiritual vein and wanting to become an alchemy master, they could not help but stop and stare. Chen Xiang was well known in the city. After all, his grandfather was the Chen family patriarch, his father was a well-known figure, and he did not have a spiritual vein. Most people, when talking about the Chen family patriarch and Chen Tianhu, always ended up sighing. Chen Xiang silently paid the money and received the spirit herb seedlings. He chose to ignore everyone's gazes. Just as he was about to leave, Chen Zhenhua, with a sneer, said, a waste of a person, wasting so many spirit herbs. Chen Xiang's brow wrinkled. When Chen Zhenhua said he did not have a spiritual vein, he chose to ignore it. He had been ridiculed before, but he could not tolerate being called a waste. When everyone saw the Chen family children fighting, they were happy inside their hearts, because they knew it would be an interesting show to watch. Chen Xiang turned around and looked at the arrogant Chen Zhenhua. Suddenly a palm-shaped flame surged out from his palm, making many people begin to feel like they were in a sauna. Inside the Spirit Dan Hall, there are many people who had excellent insight, so they were well aware that this flame was not a normal flame, but actually an alchemical flame. Chen Zhenhua, I dare you to try to face this true chi flame, made by a waste. Chen Xiang spoke with a dark and emotionless tone. Only those with special talent and rare cultivation exercises can create true chi flames. They have to be born with this type of talent and were able to understand the minute changes inside the true chi flames. Because Chen Zhenhua was very close to Chen Xiang, his whole body was covered in sweat. The beautiful girl behind the counter was also in the same state, making her thin clothes become soaked with fragrant perspiration, making her seductive curves stand out. This fierce flame made everyone in the Spirit Dan Hall stand still, dumb as wooden chickens. TLN, dumb as a wooden rooster. It comes from a Chinese story. For the story you can visit here, basically petrified. Chapter 007, Dragon Saliva Exercise. This is, wait, stop. Don't burn down my spirit Dan Hall. An old man started shouting. It seemed that he appeared out of thin air. The flame in Chen Xiang's hands started to dissipate. The people in the spirit Dan Hall slowly recovered from their shock. They could all feel the fury that had been contained within Chen Xiang's flame. Chen Zhenhua, don't tell me you afraid of the flames made by a waste? Then what does it make you? An even bigger waste. Chen Xiang spoke, openly sneering. Chen Zhenhua's complexion became extremely ugly. No one in their right mind would try to take on those flames. The mouth of the governor's daughter was wide open in shock. She looked at Chen Xiang in surprise. She could feel the power behind those flames. She lowered her head because she had been treating him like dog shit on the side of the road. Who knows why Chen Xiang decided to hide his strength instead of showing it off, like anyone else that was his age would do. Hallmaster, this brat. One middle-aged fellow, wearing a short white robe, came out from behind Chen Xiang. That old man just kept on staring at Chen Xiang, his face contorted in a look of disbelief, shock, and joy, all at the same time. This old man was the spirit Dan Hall's master. He is a very famous alchemist and had a history of scruples with Chen Xiang's grandfather. Little brother, do you want to become my apprentice? The old man asked, which made all the people within Spirit Dan Hall gasp. The hall master was even willing to take him as an apprentice. Everybody knew that many aristocratic families had wanted their children to be taken on as his apprentice. But even if their parents personally came to ask the Spirit Dan Hall's master, they would be rejected without even a second look. Everyone froze in place. Chen Xiang's potential shocked every single one of them. Having no spiritual vein, but still being able to release a true chi flame and, not to mention the fact that, the Spirit Dan Hall's master had seen that Chen Xiang is a good seed. Chen Xiang scratched his head and spoke dismissively, although I would like to, you and my grandfather are enemies, so I cannot take you as my teacher. Then, Chen Xiang turned away casually, without the slightest expression of regret or sorrow. No one could believe that Chen Xiang had actually refused. They suspected that he might have misunderstood what the Spirit Dan Hall's master said. Only after hearing the sound of the Spirit Dan Hall's master sighing did they believe that there are some people who would actually refuse to become a Spirit Dan Hall's master's apprentice. Everyone agreed that Chen Xiang was a fool. Because of a private grudge between his grandfather and the Spirit Dan Hall's master, he gave up such a good opportunity. Chen Zhenhua's heart was filled with jealousy. A moment ago he had ruthlessly humiliated Chen Xiang, and everyone's gaze had been fixated on Chen Xiang, their gazes filled with disdain. But now many people looked at him with contemptuous expressions. In the eyes of these people, a genius alchemist was much more formidable than any other type of genius. He was able to refine dans. Furthermore, even though he was lacking a spiritual vein, he was able to become a fierce martial artist. Of course, not only did Chen Xiang have divine veins, he could also become an alchemist. He could now plant herbs and release true chi flames. These were the two conditions he needed to start refining dans. Although alchemy needed certain experience and higher understanding, he is sure that he will able to successfully refine those dans. Chen Xiang already knew that Spirit Dan Hall's master was his grandfather's rival. Moreover, his grandfather had been very good to him. From time to time, his grandfather would give him some dans, which ultimately allowed him to reach the third level of the mortal martial realm. After returning to the Chen family residence, Chen Xiang found his father and told him about what had happened at the Spirit Dan Hall. Well done. That old man of the Spirit Dan Hall treats our Chen family poorly. He sells those dans to us at exorbitant prices. Since you have a true chi flame, it will not be difficult for you to become an alchemist. From now on, I'll fully support you. Chen Tianhu, in his heart, was very excited. Now that his son can release true chi flames, it can be said he will have a promising future, even better than martial artists with high-grade spiritual veins. Chen Xiang retired to his own small courtyard and started planting those spirit herb seedlings. In the evening, he sat cross-legged on his bed, sensing the rich spirit chi of heaven and earth. He started then using the Tai Chi divine exercise along with the dragon saliva exercise, and quickly absorbed the spirit chi. After using the dragon saliva exercise, it will leave behind a special essence on his tongue. As long as he uses this essence to water those spirit herbs, the time it will take them to mature will significantly decrease. In the morning, Chen Xiang stretched out his tongue and found an azure-colored dewdrop. This drop was dragon saliva. Seeing this, Chen Xiang started rejoicing. He did not expect to be successful in making the dragon saliva on his first try. He quickly put that azure dewdrop into a bucket full of water. The bucket started exhibiting a light azure aura. Using the bucket of glowing water, Chen Xiang started carefully watering the seedlings. Azure spirit grass, blood element grass, profound bright flower, and spirit leaf grass. These 4 spirit herbs were only low-grade mortal herbs, but it normally took them 3 years to mature. However, after Chen Xiang used the dragon saliva to accelerate their growth, it only took a month for them to fully mature. The azure-colored grass, which is the one exhibiting a fierce spirit qi, is the azure spirit grass. The one which is as red as blood and the size of a fist was the blood element flower. The one which is white as snow and emitted a bright aura was the profound bright flower. The one that looked like leaf-bladed grass was the spirit leaf grass. Chen Tianhe looked around the small courtyard with surprise. While staring at the spirit herbs, he clearly remembered that a month ago they were nothing more than seedlings. Son, about this ability of yours, refrain from showing it to others, no matter what. Only you and I will ever know about this. Just as one should not boast about his treasures in public, you should not let anyone else know about this ability of yours. Chen Tianhe spoke with a serious face and did not inquire about how his son got this ability. Chen Xiang nodded his head. This courtyard was in Chen Tianhe's domain, so nobody would dare to come in here without his permission and, therefore, Chen Xiang was not worried about people discovering this. Alchemy is not simple. Although you have the ability to become an alchemist, self-teaching is a hard thing to do, especially with alchemy. You should try to build your foundation first. Even if you take a wrong step, we can go and look for an alchemist when needed. Chen Tianhe said this, then removed a bucket-sized alchemical furnace from his storage pouch. TLN, alchemy furnace looks something like this, Chen Tianhe said, although this alchemical furnace is not that good, it is the best one which I can afford. Wait for me to ask the elders for some money, and we will buy a better one later. For alchemy, an alchemical furnace was one of the most essential things, second only to the herbs. Chen Xiang was quite satisfied with the black furnace. Laughing and nodding his head, he said, "Thank you, Dad. You will be the first to taste my refined dans." Chen Tianhe walked out laughing. During this month, except for looking after the seedlings, Chen Xiang spent most of his time asking Su Miyao about the main points of alchemy. That seductive girl explained all the difficulties of alchemy carefully, making sure Chen Xiang knew what he was getting into. As Chen Xiang learned about alchemy, he encountered many issues. For example, controlling the flames, pouring the true qi continuously, and solidifying the dan, which required a very accurate control and application of spiritual power. Sister Miyao, at what time should I start the preparation to refine these dans? Chen Xiang used spirit power to exchange words with Su Miyao, inside the ring, while picking the matured herbs. Only after some processing would they be qualified to be used for alchemy. The steps of processing required certain skills, but for Chen Xiang, those didn't actually matter, because Su Miyao has already taught him those things. Su Miyao with a sweet voice said, "The soonest you will be able to begin is, around, a year and a half." What? I only have 1 more month before the competition with that Yao family genius. Chen replied, shocked. Bai Yuyu spoke coldly, "What an idiot. Why do you want to compete with him in alchemy? With your strength, you can easily slaughter him." The corner of Chen Xiang's mouth twitched slightly. If he slaughtered the Yao family genius, then the Yao family and the Chen family will certainly go to war, requiring his father, or even the family elders, to step in. It would be very troublesome. He starts to process the spirit herbs, and then placed them inside the furnace. After this, each and every step must be performed extremely precisely. The basic steps of alchemy include pouring the true qi inside the alchemical furnace, baking the spirit herbs, waiting for the spirit herbs to start emitting unique spirit qis, controlling those various spirit qis and mixing them with dried up spirit herbs, gathering them together in one place, and then congealing them into a dan. Chen Xiang placed both his hands on the two separate mouths of the furnace and then poured his flames inside it, while, at the same time, inspecting the internal situation of the furnace with his spiritual power. Chapter 008 Successful Dan Refinement. The flame was poured into the alchemical furnace, backing the spirit herbs inside and drying them out. There was some residue spirit qi left inside the dried spirit herbs, so his first attempt ended in failure. Nevertheless, Chen Xiang was not discouraged by this, because he had learned a few things. He learned how formidable his flames were, and that he needed to increase his control over said flames. Chen Xiang picked up the next set of herbs. This time, he made sure to pay special attention to his control, in order to manipulate the flames correctly. He carefully baked the spirit herbs inside the furnace, but it, once again, resulted in a failure. After experiencing failure 3 times in a row, Chen Xiang had started to build up some experience. His knowledge, regarding the control of flame, had increased during each previous attempt. On the 4th try, Chen Xiang was finally successful in extracting out all the spirit qi. Now he could enter the next phase of alchemy. While injecting his spiritual power into the alchemical furnace, he took a peek inside. Chen Xiang saw the various colors of different spirit qi being emitted by the spirit herbs. Now he started to manipulate these spirit qi, rotating them to form a rainbow whirlpool. The already dried spirit herbs slowly disintegrated into gray ash. After they had completely transformed, Chen Xiang manipulated the spirit qi emitted from these spirit herbs and combined it with the herbal powder. Chen Xiang was now in the 5th level of the mortal martial realm. He had a good amount of spiritual power, yet he was already nearing his limit. This was mainly because he divided the rainbow whirlpool of herbal spirit qi into 5 mini whirlpools while trying to fuse those with 5 equal portions of herbal powder at the same time. He was trying to refine 5 dans at once. While forming the 5 whirlpools, Chen Xiang's brows started to wrinkle, and he was sweating profusely from his forehead. Not only did he need to use true qi to form his flames, but he also had to control the formed flames while, at the same time, also trying to congeal the dans, which forced him to consume vast amounts of spiritual power. This had better be successful. Chen Xiang shouted in his heart. The 5 herbal spirit qi whirlpools were revolving rapidly and even began the process of fusing together. He now only needed to drop in the right amount of water and let the 2 successfully congeal into 5 dans. Chen Xiang was continuously sweating from his forehead and looked very tired. But he still continued to release the true qi flames and spiritual power. He had used up almost all of his true qi / I finally succeeded, plus I ended up spending all day to refine these 5 dans. Alchemy really needs a lot of time. Chen Xiang said with a sigh. Chen Xiang opened the alchemical furnace, looking at the 5 snow-white quenching body dans within the dissipating mist, and he could not help but grin. He had eaten a quenching body dan before, but the quality of those dans was not even close to these. If those old alchemists came to know about him successful refining the quenching body dan in a day, they would certainly die with shame. Many alchemists took 3 to 5 years to successfully refine a dan for the first time. Even the most talented alchemists would still need a year and a half, and moreover, they were only able to refine 1 dan at a time. But Chen Xiang in his first attempt successfully refined 5 dans, so if those old alchemists found out, then they would probably die from the shock of it. Not to mention those old alchemists, even the sisters, Sumi Yao and Ba Yuyo, were scared by Chen Xiang's inherent talent in alchemy. They inspected the dans with their own delicate hands, and their facial expression became filled with shock. Haha, Sister Miao, before you said I would have to wait for a year and a half to actually successful refine a dan, but I successful refined them in a single day. Now you can give me a reward. Chen Xiang started laughing proudly. Sumi Yao was also very happy, with a charming voice asked, then, young Master Chen, how can us sisters reward you? Chen Xiang, with both hands hugging his chest, smiled and said, how about a kiss, on the cheek? Of course, dream on, brat. Ba Yuya coldly said, then returned inside the ring. Sumi Yao, while trying to contain her laughter, arrived near Chen Xiang and gave him a kiss on his cheek with her soft lips. My dear brother, you have only succeeded through hard work, you should not be too proud. Chen Xiang was only kidding and did not expect this beautiful girl to actually give him a kiss, so Miao watched the stupefied Chen Xiang and laughed while covering her mouth, then returned to the ring. Chen Xiang took a deep breath while smelling the residual fragrance left by her. Calming his heartbeat down, he whispered, "She really is a dangerous woman. I, unexpectedly, got caught up in her pace and was charmed." He touched the invisible ring on his hand as if caressing a lover's face. In order to allow the fairies inside his ring to restore their strength as soon as possible, he motivated himself. A quenching body dan is sold for 700 spirit coins, and Chen Xiang refined 5 dans, so he can sell them for 3,500 spirit coins. He earned big time, and not to mention that he still has a set of herbs left to refine, so if he succeeded again, then another profit of 3,500 spirit coins could be made. Chen Xiang read in a book some time ago that you can refine up to 5 quenching body dan from one set of herbs. So his target had always been to refine 5 dans in one go, but he did not know that refining 5 dans at once can only be possible in a situation when the herbs are used to their utmost efficiency. Only high-level alchemists with better understandings can solidify dans in that way, and the timing was also most important. To control spiritual power and flames at a micro level, one must take notice of the subtle changes taking place inside the alchemical furnace, or, otherwise, they will fall short. The quenching body dan provides great help when refining the body. But they are limited to martial artists at the 3rd level, or lower, of the mortal martial realm, and as Chen Xiang was now at the 5th level of mortal martial realm, the quenching body dan would not be of much help, but it could still help him in restoring his true qi quickly. Chen Xiang ate 1 dan, and more than half of the true qi within his body was restored. He decided to take the remaining 4 dans to Chen Tianhe for tasting. The flavor is good, but I just ate 700 spirit coins. Chen Xiang with some sorrow went to his father's library. It was already late night, but Chen Tianhe was not sleeping. Still thinking about some things regarding the martial arts in the library, this was a habit of his. "Xiang Yar, what problem have you encountered for you to come find me at such a late hour?" Chen Tianhe smelled the fragrance of herbs coming from Chen Xiang's body and immediately frowned. Chen Xiang with a grin said, "I want father to taste the very first dan which I have refined." "What?" Chen Tianhe fiercely stood up with his eyes wide open and his face filled with disbelief. He originally thought it would take Chen Xiang 8 to 10 years before he can successfully refine some dans, but did not expect that it just take him a day. A single F-King day. Chen Xiang gave Chen Tianhe 4 snow-white quenching body dans. Chen Tianhe's mouth stayed open with shock while looking at the 4 snow-white dans with disbelief. Still hot. Chen Tianhe's mind went blank from shock because he did not believe his son would actually comprehend alchemy in a single day. Is he a genius that was born once in 1,000 years? These type of geniuses, although are respected by various forces, but they are also envied by many, and if there were people who wanted to recruit them, then there obviously will be people who will want to assassinate them. Chen Tianhe took a deep breath, calming down his heart which was filled with excitement and said, "The quality is much better when compared to the Spirit Dan Hall, so it'll at least be sold for 800 spirit coins. I will take these 4 dans and help you in selling them and buying some spirit herb seedlings." For Chen Xiang able to accelerate the growth of spirit herbs, and then refine them into dans in a matter of few days, Chen Tianhe knew that his son will become a grandmaster level alchemist in the not so distant future. You cannot rush these things. First thoroughly refine mortal level low-grade dans, and when you get the hang of it, then move on to the higher level ones. Chen Xiang nodded his head, and he returned to his courtyard to rest, waiting till his spiritual power is restored, then he once again started refining the last set of herbs. The next day, Chen Xiang woke up early, thinking about refining the quenching body dan. He was somewhat excited, and after successfully refining it once, this time, it was just simply following the previous steps. He arrived at the last stage of congealing the dans with ease. Within the alchemical furnace, there were 5 groups of herbal powder and herbal spirit qi, fusing them together into a sludge. Chen Xiang was relaxed this time, not like the previous attempt where he consumed most of his true qi and spiritual power. Successful. Chen Xiang sighed with relief, opening the lid of the furnace, and he saw 5 quenching body dans. It only took him 2 hours to refine the dans this time around. In the following days, Chen Xiang accelerated the growth of many spirit herbs, then refined them into dans. Not only was he refining quenching body dan, but he also refined many other low-grade mortal level dans that have many practical uses, such as restoring Qi Dan, golden healing essence, dispelling poison Dan, congealing Qi Dan, and others. Although at the beginning, each time he would have some failures, but as he got familiar with the nature of the spirit herbs and got better in controlling his flames, while also getting several tips, he naturally got better at refining dans. Sumi Yao, this mysterious girl's alchemy technique was very brilliant, and previously he didn't believe this stunning charming girl even knew alchemy, because in his knowledge, alchemists were either bald or white-haired old men. Chen Xiang did not get tired these past few days, and practicing alchemy didn't even affect his qi practice. He was also practicing the dragon saliva exercise in the evenings to create azure dewdrops, which were able to accelerate the growth of spirit herbs. Once again, a month went by, and in this month, Chen Xiang became skilled in refining low-grade mortal level dans. Editor note: remember, dans are pills. Chapter 9, Patriarch Selection Meeting. Today, Chen Xiang did not go to accelerate the growth of the spirit herbs. Early in the morning, he instead went to a huge field located in the middle of the Chen family villa, because today was the day to finalize the position of the new patriarch. The Chen family patriarch position had been empty for 3 months, causing the Chen family to be somewhat chaotic. The huge field of the Chen family villa was covered with bricks, and many important children of the whole Chen family were standing there, which roughly amounted to 300 of the Chen family's elite juniors. Everyone from Chen family encircled the field, and a large area in the middle was left empty, where 5 middle-aged men stood, of which one was Chen Tianhu. Chen Xiang was also present among the crowds, watching everything with joy, and was ready to jump in any time to help his father compete for the patriarch position. One middle-aged man with thick eyebrow, big eyes, gray hair, said while sneering, "Chen Tianhu, you know we have one very important condition for the Chen family patriarch position." The middle-aged fellow's name was Chen Hehai, and he was a branch commander of the Chen family. He was also older than Chen Tianhu and was at the 7th level of the mortal martial realm. This branch of the Chen family was also quite strong, so he thought he had the qualifications to become the Chen family patriarch. In seniority, Chen Xiang needed to call him uncle. Chen Tianhu's eyes, which were filled with rage, stared at Chen Hehai, and he coldly said, "Of course I know, relatives of the patriarch should have good potential, in order to avoid misappropriation of public resources to waste on their family members." Chen Xiang's mother had already passed away, and since Chen Xiang was sensible he never asked about how she passed away, so Chen Tianhu was the only close relative of Chen Xiang. "Haha, but your son doesn't have any spiritual veins, so if you get the patriarch position, you will certainly spend a lot of valuable pills on him. Everybody knows all these years you have purchased many spirit herbs and pills and used it on him. Are you not going to help your son again?" Chen Hehai while laughing said, "Everyone knows he is a waste who can never advance." Chen Tianhu naturally knew that his son was a genius among his peers, but he just wanted to hide his strength and not expose it, otherwise it would lead to trouble. "My son can release true qi fire. He has the potential to become alchemist. Who says he is useless?" The Chen family elders will probably have other opinions. Chen Tianhu said while sneering. At this time everyone started discussing. Chen Xiang refusing the offer to become Spirit Dan Hall's master's apprentice was already spread all over in Wohu City. Although Chen Xiang did not have a spiritual vein, but he can still release true qi flame, so he has the opportunity to become an alchemist. Chen Hehai snorted and said in a cold manner, but he refused to become Spirit Dan Hall's master's apprentice. He doesn't even have a teacher, so he will have a hard time becoming an alchemist. At this point, Chen Xiang's calm and steady voice was heard by everybody. "I am now able to refine the low-grade mortal level quenching body Dan." Hearing Chen Xiang's words, everyone stared blankly, and Chen Hehai started laughing. "Huang Kao Xiao, you're only 16 years old and can already refine a pill? Do not think lying will provide any help to your father in competing for the position of the patriarch. Also, lying before an elder can lead to you having some severe punishments. TLN, Huang Kao Xiao Er is a Chinese proverb. I couldn't find any similar proverb in English. It is used to ridicule someone younger of age. If you can think of something, please comment. You think you're the Yao family genius? People of the Yao family belong to one of the pill-making aristocratic families. They have vigorous heritage. Chen Xiang walked from inside the crowd, and with a steady gaze and calm complexion, he put forward an alchemy furnace, looked at the sneering Chen Hehai, and said, "Do you dare to bet with me? I can refine the quenching body Dan in one try. If I succeed, how about you kowtow to apologize to me in front of everyone?" Chen Hehai started laughing again, and everyone else became stunned. They did not even think that Chen Xiang could be this presumptuous in front of an elder. Chen Hehai became angry because of Chen Xiang's attitude. Not only was Chen Xiang much younger than him, and he was also defying him in front of everybody. Chen Tianhe fully supported his son's actions, and at this moment he felt proud with his son's response. Chen Hehai's face was full of anger, and he heavily said, "What did you say?" In between conversation, Tru Chi rushed toward Chen Xiang, but it was actually dispersed by Chen Tianhe. Chen Xiang's both eyes stared at Chen Hehai, and enhancing his sound he said, "I want you to bet with me if I could refine quenching body Dan in one attempt, and if I am successful then you will kowtow in front of everyone and apologize to me." Chen Xiang repeated it with a serious face, making sure that nobody thought of it as a joke. Moreover, his expression was also full of the arrogance. Can a teenager face an elder like this? Not many within the Chen family would even dare to think of doing something like this. Chen Hehai was trembling with anger, because he saw Chen Xiang ask with a serious look, and he did not dare to comply immediately, but everybody around was waiting for an answer. Chen Xiang was watching Chen Hehai intently, while continuing, "You slander me in public by declaring me as a useless waste, and now I want to prove myself, while simultaneously making you apologize to me. As a senior you're still refusing to bet with me." Chen Hehai wanted to beat the crap out of this little brat, but he actually did not dare. After all, killing a child of the Chen family was a very serious matter. An old man said, "Since it is like that, Chen Hehai, you bet with him, but a kowtow apology is exempted. After all, it was simply some angry words of a little brat. If he can refine a pill in a single attempt, Chen Hehai, you must give appropriate compensation." "I agree. If my son loses, I will not fight for the patriarch position," Chen Tianhe said, then nodded his head towards Chen Xiang. Chen Tianhe's words caused an uproar. Chen Hehai, while snorting, said, "Okay, I will bet. If I lose, then I will give him my 1,000-year-old blood spirit grass." 1,000-year-old blood spirit grass. Everyone together shouted in a low voice. How could they not be surprised? The blood spirit grass grown for 1,000 years was a very expensive and profound level low-grade spirit herb. "Chen Xiang, if you start the alchemy now, about how long will you need?" that old man asked. He was a Chen family elder and carried a certain prestige. According to everyone's understanding, refining a mortal level low-grade pill will at least take half a day, and the fastest it will take is 2 or 3 hours, but it was now being refined by a 16-year-old teenager. "Quickly, we do not need to delay much time." In between conversation, Chen Xiang sat down cross-legged, and that elder and Chen Hehai came to check the alchemy furnace, to prevent Chen Xiang from cheating. "Inferior alchemy furnace, it seems, Chen Tianhe, that you are very poor." Chen Hehai started sneering, as everyone knew that all of Chen Tianhe's money was spent on Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang finished removing the herbs from his storage pouch, reorganized and inspected them. While pouring his warm Tru Chi flame inside the furnace, he put all the herbs inside, and his every move was very meticulous. But that Tru Chi flame also made everyone slightly surprised. Although many people can release flames to attack, but they could only do so through some martial skill, and those flames can only be released for the purpose of attacking. In simple words, they cannot control the flames as freely as Chen Xiang, and only if they practiced fire control type exercises could they do so, but these exercises were very rare and difficult to practice. Chen Xiang continuously poured the flame inside the alchemy furnace, and at this time, from within the alchemy furnace, the smell of some herbal aroma leaked out. 1 hour had passed, and everyone saw with closed eyes that Chen Xiang's eyebrows suddenly started twitching. Onlookers knew he was in the most crucial phase, and Chen Hihai, who is also watching this, starts sweating. He was worried that he would have to give up a 1,000-year blood spirit grass if he lost. Everyone saw smoke drifting out from inside alchemy furnace, and at this time Chen Xiang also opened his eyes and with a happy expression stood up and said, "Please inspect it." "What? Completed in 1 hour?" Everyone's expressions were full of questions. That elder started to inspect first. Although he does not know much about alchemy, he was fully aware of the alchemic process, and he had been carefully watching Chen Xiang, knowing that Chen Xiang followed the basic steps of alchemy. Although he was not clear about the situation inside the alchemy furnace, he was able to sense the heat in the furnace constantly changing, and these changes were very subtle. Opening the lid of furnace, everyone smelt the faint herbal aroma, and they were truly familiar with this aroma. Moreover, they also witnessed the refining process, and when they saw the elder taking out 5 snow-white pills, everyone could not help but exclaim. Chapter 010, I'll fight this, was I mistaken? He is only 16 years old and is already able to refine the quenching body pill. He is extremely talented, a man shouted with shock. It looks like the quality of this quenching body pill is much better than what we usually use. I did not think that Chen Xiang would be so secretive. He has been hiding his strength and biding his time. Just his alchemy techniques alone make him much more valuable than those geniuses with high-grade spiritual veins, another man exclaimed. All of the Chen family's core members gathered in this field now sighed with jealousy and envy. Chen Hihai was shocked, sad and angry, all at the same time. His complexion turned very ugly. The obvious reason being that he had just lost a 1,000-year blood spirit grass. If it were to be taken to the auction house, it would have been sold for an extremely high price. The Chen family's elder had trembling hands. Both of his eyes were wide open while staring at the snow-white pills in his palm. My Chen family finally has an alchemist. The Chen family finally had an alchemist on their side. These simple words set the blood of every single Chen family member aboil. One had to know that the Chen family did not have an alchemist, so they had to spend large amounts of resources to buy pills that were made by others. This caused them to be ridiculed by some of the fierce martial practitioners that belonged to the other aristocratic families, but now, the Chen family also had an alchemist. Not to mention, this boy was so young. Sooner or later he was bound to become a grandmaster-level alchemist. Chen Hihai, you bet with my son willingly, now you should admit and accept your defeat. Chen Tianhu said with a laugh. Humph. Chen Hihai was jealous but also very sad. He reluctantly took out the 1,000-year blood spirit grass and handed it over to Chen Xiang. Now nobody in the entire Chen family would even dare to look down on Chen Xiang. After all, he was now a 16-year-old alchemist. Many of the girls from the branch families even started to throw coquettish looks towards Chen Xiang in an attempt to reel him in. Many of the young boys from the Chen family glared at Chen Xiang with fire in their eyes. They were jealous to the point of death. Chen Xiang completely turned a blind eye towards their reactions, as he remembered many of these people ridiculing him before. Even if your son is an alchemist, you still have to fight for the patriarch position. Chen Hihai retorted. 2 other middle-aged men that were previously competing with Chen Tianhu for the patriarch position announced their withdrawal. They were able to tell that Chen Xiang was only 16 years old, yet he was already able to refine a mortal-level low-grade Dan. It could be said that his future was immeasurable and potentially boundless. Not offending such a person would be the most sensible approach. Other than Chen Hihai and Chen Tianhu, there was just one other person remaining in the competition for the title of patriarch. Chen Hihai said, Chen Tianhu, now you just have to fight against us 2 brothers. If you win, then naturally the position of patriarch will be yours. Chen Tianhu, while squinting his eyes, said, this is what you are saying. Well then, will the 2 of you come together or one by one? Even though Chen Tianhu was outnumbered, his speech did not show any signs of weakness but instead displayed his strong character. Chen Tianhu was indeed someone capable of making others submit before him. Of course it will be one-on-one. We brothers would not want anyone to think we are bullies, now would we? Hearing Chen Hihai, the crowd retreated a few steps back, giving the 3 of them more space. The shockwaves emitted by a battle between two practitioners at the 7th level of the mortal martial realm alone were extremely frightening. Everyone retreated away from the edges of the field. Both Chen Tianhe and Chen Hehai simultaneously moved using their fastest speeds, both of their palms striking the other. Their palms closely stuck to each other, while they started contesting using their true qi. Chen Hehai's whole body was covered with scorching hot true qi, while there was no movement from Chen Tianhe. But the hideous blue veins that were filled with true qi was appearing on Chen Tianhe. Both of them are still stuck closely together, while looking at each other with serious expressions. Suddenly the whole field started to shake and tremble, the ground beneath them began to crack, and waves of air currents were violently blowing sand and dust in all four directions. Chen Tianhe violently roared, and with it the shaking disappeared and the fierce air current also stopped. Chen Hehai was blown backwards while coughing up large amounts of blood, while Chen Tianhe also retreated few steps. Falling on the ground, Chen Hehai struggled to get up on his feet. He knew that he had just lost, but there was a trace of a proud smile on his face. This contest Chen Tianhe had won, but his complexion became pale. Chen Hehai while laughing said, "Although you have won the battle, but you will lose this war. In your current state, even a 6th level mortal martial realm martial practitioner can easily defeat you." While laughing, he also coughed up a lot of blood, as it could be seen that he had suffered some heavy internal injuries. "You are also in the 8th level of the mortal martial realm?" Chen Tianhe asked while covering his abdomen with one hand. He did not think that Chen Hehai would unexpectedly step into the 8th level of mortal martial realm. "Are you not same?" Chen Hehai sneered. Both Chen Hehai and Chen Tianhe were actually 8th level mortal martial realm martial practitioners, and this made everyone shocked. Everyone could see that Chen Hehai did not even hesitate to severely injure Chen Tianhe. Chen Tianhe still had another fight left and his opponent was Chen Hehai's younger brother. Chen Xiang swiftly moved past, supporting Chen Tianhe who is almost about to fall. "Dad, how are you?" While asking, Chen Xiang put his hand on Chen Tianhe's abdomen and poured a pure wood true qi into his father's body. Sensing the vigorous wood true qi gushing inside his body, Chen Tianhe shuddered, looked at Chen Xiang with a shocked expression, but soon calmed down. Editor's note: from now on we'll try to use just wood true qi, or lightning true qi instead of wooden attributed or lightning attributed true qi as that's too long and they have the same meaning. I suffered some serious internal injuries. Chen Hehai did not hesitate to seriously injure me, so do not waste your true qi. Chen Tianhe was excited in his heart, because he felt his son's true qi was quite vigorous, and its strength was far more than what he had expected. Chen Xiang's heart became very heavy after listening to Chen Tianhe. If his father lost the battle, then it would become a hopeless situation. "Start the second battle, do not waste time needlessly," Chen Hehai said with a weak voice and a pale complexion, but he was very excited inside. He could already see the scene of his brother defeating Chen Tianhe. Chen Xiang, while watching Chen Hehai intensely, with a sharp aura flashing in his eyes, said, "I'll fight." Chen Xiang unexpectedly wanted to fight in place of his father, and this made everyone quite surprised. They knew Chen Xiang did not have any spiritual veins and therefore was not very strong. However, he could still release true qi flames and already had a profound level of control over them, but he cannot recover the true qi in such a short amount of time. Chen Xiang wasn't also going to be facing an ordinary person, and his opponent was a practitioner with the strength at the 7th level of the mortal martial realm. Everyone mostly thought that in order to make his father the patriarch, Chen Xiang made an idiotic decision. Chen Tianhe was also very surprised by Chen Xiang, but when he saw Chen Xiang's gaze full of confidence, his worries disappeared. Moreover, he was now seriously injured, so if he fights in his current condition then he will surely lose. Not to mention that his injuries will surely become worse. A teenager came forth with a contemptuous laugh. "You do not have a spiritual vein and you want to enter the dispute for the patriarch's position? By just refining some low-leveled pills, you think you have enough strength. I alone can easily put you down. Plus I recently entered the 5th level of the mortal martial realm." This teenager was Chen Zhenhua, and he had some conflict with Chen Xiang in the Spirit Dan Hall and was Chen Hehai's son. Entering into the 5th level of the mortal martial realm at this age also made him a rare genius and thus justifies his arrogance. Chen Zhenhua, if I win against you, what will happen then? Chen Xiang said with a dull tone. His expression was very calm, not like a hot-headed person.